Hi everyone, welcome to another video of problem solving using data structures and algorithm. In this video, we are talking about dynamic arrays and amortization. So we discussed intro to arrays and low-level arrays in the previous video. Now we are moving on to dynamic arrays. If you're familiar with Python, which most likely you are, lists in Python are abstractions of dynamic arrays, or rather representation of dynamic array type. Now, we understand how lists work in Python, but now we need to understand the semantics of this list class in Python. Because if we understand the semantics, or maybe to put it more like in easier terms, we need to understand the logic behind how lists work in Python. And so if we are able to understand that, we can understand dynamic arrays in general. Okay. Now, if you remember from the previous video, for creating a low-level array, the precise size of the array must be explicitly decided for memory allocation. For instance, if I'm creating a size 4 array, right? So each one will have some elements, which I'm not specifying. Obviously, the indices are here, and then I'll have some, let's say, memory allocation, right? 2146, 2147. 2148, and so on. So there will be some neighboring memory locations where other data can be stored, right? So therefore, this capacity cannot be trivially increased in subsequent cells because there is something else stored here, and so on. And this seems okay in case of strings and tuples. Why? Because their size is fixed. But if you go back to the Python list class, right? You might remember that we can do append and remove elements from that. So theoretically speaking, the semantics of a dynamic array is such that it should maintain a list instance that has the ability to change its capacity when required. For instance, let's say I have a string, sorry, not a string, but a list that has like different numbers, 21, 32, or maybe like let me have these as indices only, not to confuse, and these are referential if you remember. So this is pointing to 21 and 32 and some other number and so on, right? And then I decided to append to it some other values, let's say 4, 5, like some other numbers at position 4, 5, and so on. So a high level idea is that it maintains a list that it is going to increase in capacity by double. So if it continues to append like this, any reserved capacity will be exhausted, right? Because we can just like think about it. Let's say the size of my array was 3, 1, 2, 3, and let me reserve a capacity of 6 just in case I need it. However, you might have seen in like one of our Python courses that we do a lot of append with loops, and especially with textual data. So in that situation, any reserved capacity will run out of any reserved capacity, right? So in that situation, a list class or a dynamic array class will request a new larger array from the system and then initialize that new array and put all the elements in that, and the old array will be reclaimed by the system. So this is saying essentially that if this goes on increasing on and on, then what will happen is obviously this will go out of space. So what will happen is that this, with a new size, I understand that every time I'm adding an element, I will increase the capacity by more than what is required. But also I will specify a space somewhere else and not necessarily here, right? Let me actually make a picture of that. So let us say I had this array that has some elements at position 0, 1, 2, and these are the elements, right? Let's say A, B, C. This was pointing to this, right? And this is array A. But as the size grows, it will request the system for another sort of space, and this will start pointing to the same elements. But because we will be adding more elements, let's say D, now in order to point to D, all these elements will be transferred here, and this will be reclaimed by the system. So this will be, let's go back to the system to be precise. Okay, so this is the high level idea of how dynamic arrays do a memory allocation, how they double in size. Let's actually look at the empirical evidence that they almost double in size and how does that happen, right? And then we'll come back here. So let's go there, let's keep this. So I have something here which is called the empirical analysis. In this, I'm importing a module called SYS. What this does is it helps get a system level variable values. For instance, I'm just using one function out of this sys, which is get size of. So I'm getting the size of an array or a dynamic array or a list, as we call it in Python. That's called data. So I've created that empty array here, and n is just a variable size 20, right? And then here I'm getting the length of that list, because obviously this list will be growing. All I'm doing is just like appending one to it, just like a fixed number. I'm not worried about what the contents of this array or this list are. I'm only bothered about the size of this array right now, because that size implies some memory allocation, right? So that's what I'm doing here. And this will give me the size in bytes, the actual size in bytes of my list. And I'm going to print it like in a nice format so that it makes sense to us. So let's actually start running this to better understand what's happening. Now, as you can see, I just like put n equal 20. You can try this with n equal 100. So here, even when the length of that size, this data, which is my list, was 0, still an allocation of 64 happened, right? An allocation of 64 was done to like within the memory, as you can see. Now, when the length of size 1, that means one element was added, the size was increased by 32 bits, right? So this is how the memory allocation is happening. To better understand that, let's look at a larger number. For instance, here, let me actually show you. So when there is no, like, we just created the list here. At this point, we just created the list, and 64 bits was allocated to it. And this is like, my machine is a 64-bit machine, so each memory address is like a 64-bit number, which is essentially 8 bytes. Right, so just to give you an idea of what's happening here. Now, when the 17th element gets added, right, so there are 17 elements in my list, notice what happens to the memory. The memory jumps from 192 to 264. If you do a little bit of math around it, which means 200 plus the base 64 bits that already existed when the size was 0, right? And this 200 is basically 25 times 8 bytes, right? Which means this is enough memory to store 25 more elements for references. So just when the size of my list was 17, it had enough capacity for 25 elements. So this is how almost we can tell just by this empirical evidence, this experimental evidence, that like every time a new element is added to a full list, it ensures that the capacity doubles almost. And then internally, we know that it is allocated another space somewhere, a new list that references to the same objects, just like we saw in that picture earlier, right? Now, because the list is referential in structure, all this is just the memory for basic list structure. We are not yet talking about the elements. Now, notice I'm just appending one. Maybe I could have appended different size lists. Then we'll have to think about the memory that's allocated to those references. So we are not talking about that yet. Okay, so we'll go back to what we were looking at here. Now, we know that the memory doubles itself, first thing. The second thing is that this list reallocation happens. So we know two things about dynamic arrays now. Okay, so let's move on to dynamic array implementation, which is, let me make it clear. Okay, so let's implement the actual dynamic array class. We already know that this exists as a list class in Python, but now because we are trying to understand the semantics of this class, we will implement this. Now you know what all functionalities we need. First of all, it should be able to return the number of elements in an array, right? Maybe return a particular element. If a list is given to you 0, 1, 2, you should be able to return an element at a particular position. So that's indexing. We should be able to append elements, right? And then internally allocate memory and size based on whatever knowledge we have right now of that allocation. So two things will happen. First of all, double size, right? So every time the allocation happens, just go ahead and double the size of the list. And then also make it, for example, the initial list was A, then assign all the elements to B, which is a bigger list of twice the size. So these are the two things that we need to do internally, and maybe the user doesn't even need to bother about it. Okay, so let's do that. I've provided this code in the description link below, so you can get this code from there. This is dynamic array class implementation. It's a pretty standard implementation. All I'm doing is I'm using a C types. This is a C based module, or I would rather say a library, and I've provided a link if you want to go into the details of this. But for now, this is used to create a Python object of the type list internally. Now in the init method, you can see that we have three things, because these are the three attributes of any dynamic array. We have a size of a list or a dynamic array, right? A capacity, which obviously I'm beginning with 1, and then it should have a reference to the currently allocated array, right? Which means initially I'll create A and then I'll move on to B. So that's the reference. So those are the three different attributes in this. And then here it returns the size of the array, len, right? And notice these underscores. If you're familiar with object-oriented programming, you know that these are those special methods that directly do not show up when we are calling this class, but they can if we use these underscores. And these are also special in the sense they exist in other classes as well. So that's why the underscore. And so in get item, I should be able to index. Again, nothing fancy here. I'd like to focus on append and resize. So first of all, what append is doing here, it checks if the current capacity, which is self.n, has reached the max. If it has, just go and double in size, right? And what is this underscore resize? I'll go to that because this is again another method. And remember, underscore resize means, again, this is not a publicly available method, right? So it's an internal array for capacity. Okay. So what is this resize? This is important because this does this A equals B thing, which we just talked about, right? This does this part. Like initially we started with an A, but then we thought that it ran out of space. So create another array and then copy all these elements here and also add this new element. So this has to happen in any dynamic array. That's what resize is doing, right? Here, this is the B, make a new bigger array of some new capacity. And this new capacity is going to be double the original one. And here, notice like all the elements will be copied, right? Reference all existing values and then reassign and free the other array if you can. This here make array has been called here. If you can see, make array is nothing but using C types to create a Python object. So that's all. I've provided the code. You can test the code with creating an instance of this dynamic array class and then appending using these different methods, essentially like append, get item, len. Just go ahead, try this. But the basic idea, always remember, first, it should double in capacity. Second, this resizing and reallocation. These are the two important things. Okay, so now we understand dynamic arrays. Let's go back to our notes here. So we understand the two important properties of how dynamic arrays are growing and they are resizing themselves. And so we are ready to talk about something that's known as amortized analysis of dynamic arrays. So amortization is a term that you will come across a lot. It's an algorithmic design pattern technique, right? This is a strategy that's used in order to find out the time per operation that's taken by any algorithm, right? And the motivation for this analysis is that we want to find out the worst case time per operation. The definition of amortized cost is a cost per operation for a sequence of n operations is the total cost of the operations divided by n. Now, why are we all of a sudden interested in amortization when we started talking about dynamic arrays? That's because when you think about this strategy of like I had this array of 3 elements, A, and then I saw that I have to add another element, so I just allocated like double the size, another array, and then copied each element here. This seems like a real waste of like overall cost and time, right? Because like just appending a single append may require order n time to perform because I have to like append one element at the end. So it has to go on and on for n number of elements, right? So this amortization analysis will help us find out how much cost this entire append operation is taking in dynamic arrays. So just like a quick reminder, what are all the steps in a dynamic array? First, allocate memory for larger size array, twice the size, copy to the new array, free the old array, right? So these are the 3 steps that are happening in the resize part. Let me quickly write down. Allocate, and then double the size, right? Copy, and then free the old array. Just for our sake. So let's do an amortization analysis on a dynamic array in which we are starting to insert elements starting from size 0. So when you have a size 0, let's say this is a size 0 list, and I want to insert one element. So obviously I cannot insert because it's a size 0. So I will have to go and do an insert by doubling the size of the size 0, which is like size 1 now, right? Here, let me maintain a few things. That means the item that I'm adding, item number, the size of the array, and also the cost that's required to do that operation, right? So I'll add item 1 of size 1, and the cost it will take is 1, right? So this is item 1. Now I have to add another item, and I see there is no space, so I have to double the size, copy all the elements to this new array, and here it is, item 2, right? And size is 2, size of my array is 2, and the cost required is 2 because I had to copy both the elements into this new array, which is double the size. Now I have to add the third element, right? And I see that there is no space, double the size, 2, 3, and 4. I'm making it smaller because then we might run out of space. 2, 3, right? There will be some empty space, but that's okay. So when I added the third element, right, the size of the array is 4. The cost it took is 3 because I copied these 3 elements to this step. In this step, I copied it to the new array, and that's it, right? Now when I have to add the fourth element here, I see that I don't have to do anything, any copying and all of that, right? Because it's already there, I can add that element. So fourth element, size of the array stays 4, and the cost is only 1 because I'm not copying all these elements to a new array. My original array had enough space. Now when I add the fifth element, this has to double in size. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and size 8, 5, 6, 7, and 8, right? So this should be size 8. So what happened here? When I added the fifth element here, right? The size of the array is 8. The cost is going to be 5 because then I have to copy all these 5 elements to this new array, which is size 8, right? And so on. Now what happens when I add the sixth element? Now notice, I don't have to double or do anything to this because I already have enough space, right? So 6 stay as it is, and then I still have space for the 7th and the 8th element. So if we think about, okay, there isn't enough space left. Let me write it like this, 6, 7, 8. Again, this is item, just so that you don't get confused, size and cost, right? So the item, for the sixth item, size will stay 8. It stayed 8 for a very long time, and the cost was just 1, right? So the amortized cost is actually going to show us the sum of all these costs divided by the number of operations. So let's say the number of operations was n, and so amortized cost, I'm writing it in short, AC, is going to be the sum of all these costs. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus and so on, I don't know, plus 5 maybe, and so on, divided by n. And we can actually separate these terms into all ones. So there are going to be n ones, plus there is going to be 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 6 and so on, all those terms, all divided by n. And this is going to be n plus approximately, not exactly, but this is going to come equal to 2 of n over n. And this is nothing but 3n over n, which is 3, which is a constant, right? So the amortized cost is a constant, or maybe we can say it's an order 1. Why? Because it's a constant, doesn't change with the size of the array, doesn't change with anything else. So this essentially gives us an idea of that this entire process that's happening in doubling the size of the array and insertion is not as bad, right? So the amortized cost actually gives us an idea of like this worst case. So as you can tell, why do we do this amortization? Think about it. If we have like 100 operations at cost 1, and then there is one operation at cost 100, the amortized cost is going to be 2. It gives a fair idea of like how much cost is required, how much cost is going into essentially doing a set of these operations, right? So the reason for considering amortized cost is that we will be interested in data structures that occasionally can incur a large cost, but not always, right? But not too frequently. So in this case, amortized analysis can give us a much tighter bound on the true cost of using that data structure than a standard worst case operand bound, which means dynamic arrays are not that bad, and that's the reason we use dynamic arrays so much in our day-to-day programming practice, especially with Python. And that's why we'll be using them for problem solving as well. Okay, so that was about dynamic arrays and amortization analysis. Coming up is a series of questions that we'll try to solve together and build some strategies using dynamic arrays and using arrays in general. So that's it for this video. Thank you. If you have questions, please go ahead and ask them in the comment section.